Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Today we have Skeletal Remains. How you doing, guys?
Doing good,
Doing good.
man.
Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
I guess just give a quick intro. Everybody knows who Eric is. He's the co-host, but why don't you guys just say who you guys are and what you do?
Oh, okay. Chris here. I play guitar and do vocals in the band Skeletal Remains, or death metal band from California. Old school death metal worship, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And Mike,
Yeah,
go
Mike
ahead.
here, the guitar. Pretty much everything else Chris said.
Yeah.
So you just had a new album come out in September. We've been listening to it a lot. It's the Entombment of Chaos CD. It's on Century Media. We'll talk about a couple of your videos, and obviously it's a super heavy album. I think anybody who's watching the videos probably heard it and knows how good it is. But I think one of the most interesting backstories is Mike rejoining the band after like almost 10 years. So I guess let's talk about that and sort of maybe why he couldn't stay with it, and then how it came to be that he came back into the fold.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've kind of been in and out, throughout the years. So it's not necessarily like there was this huge long break. But when Chris and I started the band, we were just a couple young kids fucking around in our garages and shit. And once we started getting the band going, things started getting more. Oh my god, I can't think of my words. My words are now.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, just I guess more serious. Like, you know,
yeah,
I
there
don't
you
know
go.
if
I'm serious.
I don't know what you were trying to say, Mike, but yeah, things are
Yeah,
starting to
that's what I was trying to say. I'm brain farting big time. Put on the spot. But yeah, when things started getting more serious, I had some things going on in my life that didn't really let me pursue that dream. So I had to, step away. But obviously, I handed the torch to Chris, and I was more than happy, more than willing and happy to see them carry the band on for as long as they did. And then, you know, like what happened with me, other members in the band shit started happening in their life where they couldn't follow the tour life as much as they would like. So every once in a while I would jump in on a tour, or some of our other friends would jump in on a tour. So this whole full circle thing is a great feeling, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I mean, once I finally did come back into the band, it felt like I was filling some big shoes, even though like Chris and I had started the band. I hadn't written anything for them for so long, and the band had progressed sound wise. And I was nervous, because I felt like, shit, I don't want to let the fans down, I don't want to let the band down, I don't want to like let Chris down. But thankfully, like, once we got through that first song together, things just started to flow naturally, and it felt like we never stopped jamming and we never stopped writing music together. So it was almost kind of like, fucking riding a bike, to get back on after so many years. It just comes back naturally. I don't know if you want anything, Chris.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, there was always sometimes some of the old members, they couldn't make it to a few shows. Something happened, they couldn't do a certain show. So Mike was always there. He's always been around. We've been friends since we were, fucking in high school, kids and shit. And we've always, stayed in touch. We lived down the street from each other. So even when we weren't like, when it wasn't anything like band related, we would still hang out, go to shows, and just normal shit. And then so he was always like somewhat involved with the band, even just coming to our shows, or like I said, if we needed someone to fill in on guitar, he would fill in or whatever. And so there was a point in time, I think after our third record, after Devouring, where the same thing happened. Our last guitar player had left, and we didn't really do like a big announcement about it. So that's why people don't know that he was in the band. But if you pay attention to the videos, like the video that dropped for that record, I think it was for Seismic Abyss. He was in that video because our guitar player had left, so he was filling in. And there was talks about him coming back in full time, but he wasn't really ready, and things ended up working out with our last guitar player, so he came back in. And then when again towards the end of last year, I think it was, after the last tour we did in Europe back in, I think it was in like November or something. You know, our last guitar player said that, you know, he wanted to part ways with the band, and, you know, this time for sure. So I reached out to Mike and let him know what was going on and see if he was interested. And, you know, that's kind of just how things work, like how they played out, and that's how he ended up coming back in the band.
Cool. So
yeah, luckily.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, luckily, a lot of things had changed in my life, like a lot of big separations, you know. So my schedule was wide open, so I was more than ready to come back in.
Cool. And it sounded like you must have had to relearn a lot of the stuff, like to play. You know, it sounds like shitty to have to learn a whole set worth of songs for a couple shows, but it sounds like you must have had to do that a couple times.
Yeah, it was definitely shitty, man. I mean, a lot of these songs I hadn't played in so long, and then having to learn the set was a big thing. And then once the newer record came out and the newer songs had to cut, like, it was just, like you said, just set after set I had to relearn or learn for the first time. And even then, in my own life, I had, you know, I've been playing here and there. I had this other band that I was going with for a couple of years, but it was never anything serious, never anything intense as Skeletal Remains' music is. And so coming back into it, it was definitely like holy shit, you know, my fucking hand hurts. Like, this shit is fucking kicking my ass. But I mean, fuck, I've muscled through it, and thankfully I was able to pull it off for as long as I did. I still think I'm lucky enough to pull it off now.
Cool. So you mentioned we're talking about videos, so let's get into the videos. You've done a couple now for the new record. Let's talk a little bit about them. One of them sort of strikes me as funny because it almost looks like it was filmed in a hotel room. You know, because like there's this weird wallpaper in the background, and then another one is, you know, I don't want to describe videos that I'm sure you're familiar with, but like the basement one was kind of interesting, and that dude was certainly real creepy. So let's talk about some of the videos that you did and how they came about.
Yeah. So I mean, the ideas of the actual videos, or I guess a bit of the director Dylan helped a lot with that, and then also some of our input, like for each video. The video you're talking about that we filmed like in a hotel looking thing, it's some apartment, 70s looking apartment, and originally that video was supposed to have like a, you know, pretty much like the first video, like a whole story behind it, but there was these last minute changes, and the person we were supposed to use as an actor for that video couldn't do it after all. So we had already paid for, you know, for like the rental of this apartment thing where we were going to shoot, and we were going to shoot the rest of the you know, the narrative part of the video. So it was a very last minute change. So we kind of just worked with what we had, and we just did the best we could. So that's why that video is kind of like very random. It was kind of just put together with whatever we shot and whatever extra stuff we could add late, like after the video was shot or whatever. So yeah, so for that video, there wasn't really any type of like narrative or anything to it. It was just us playing and then just being covered in blood because it kind of fit what we're talking about in the song. But for the first video, I mean, that video, I think definitely had more of a story. Dylan the director had a lot to do with, you know, how good that the video came out, because you know, he's just really good at what he does, and he came up with some killer ideas, and everything you see in the video he did on his own, like all the makeup and all that stuff he did. So, but yeah, that, to be honest, that video is pretty much like, I guess, kind of like our own version or take on, I mean, I won't say our take, but it was definitely very influenced by Devoured by Vermin from Cannibal Corpse, and we kind of just added our own twist to it. And it's about pretty much, I don't know how to explain it. You want to explain it, Mike? Do you remember what?
I mean, it's just literally being devoured by vermin as well. Same thing, just different lyrics.
Different spin. Like, there was supposed to be more of like, you know, this dude who's doing these like cults, like this rat fucking lord or whatever, cults, and you know, all these people were like worshiping him, and they pretty much sacrificed that young kid to like become this some type of like rat god weird fucking thing that you see in the video. But yeah, man, I mean that we were. I mean, I was stoked with both videos. I think they both came out great for what they are. But that first video was definitely, you know, really fucking. It was our first time actually shooting a video with, you know, like some sort of story. Like the video we did before for our last record was just us jamming in our rehearsal room, and like I think a few shots were done while we were playing our album release show or whatever. But it was really cool to finally do like a video that you know, that had some kind of a story behind it. So that was really cool.
Did you know that guy who was the long haired dude with the gray beard, who's like super creepy? Was he an actor, or is he somebody you knew?
Are you talking about Dylan from Earth?
The guy in the video. I don't.
Oh, that is the guy from Earth. I didn't even realize that. It is.
Yeah, the older dude, right?
Yeah, that's a notable musician.
Okay.
That's Dylan from Earth. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So wait, you know him? You know that guy?
Oh,
I think he was a friend of Dylan, right? Our director.
Friend.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I think
That's like random. I think he's from Seattle or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty random.
Yeah, I think. Well, he's originally from Seattle, and then I think he's been like Seattle, LA, like back and forth. I'm not sure if he lives here now, or he still lives in Seattle. I'm not too sure, but yeah. Anyways, that was all Dylan, our director, who got that all set up. So he had the contact for him, and he was interested. So we brought him in, and he did a fucking killer job, man. He fit perfect for what we were going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. I guess let's talk about maybe the album art a little bit, because that was something that caught my eye. You know, even with not this record, but the one before that, the Devouring Mortality, because you know, obviously you guys mentioned it before. You have definitely an old school sound, and I was like, oh, this cover artist really captured that old school death metal look. He does it really well. And then of course I looked him up, and I was like, figured out that he does it well because he's the guy.
Yeah, he is good. He's definitely the guy for death metal, I think. I mean, there's many more. You know, there's a lot of fucking legendary ones, but I don't really think anyone really, you know, compares to Seagrave. Seagrave is like, you know, he is the death metal artist, I think. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the artwork, I mean, just like, you know, like we said, we're trying to do this whole like old school worship. You know, obviously we put our own twists into the music and try to make it a little bit more modern, but it's definitely highly influenced by all these old school death metal bands, you know, that were, you know, that started this style of music or whatever. So, you know, we thought that having Seagrave would be just the perfect fit because, you know, it's what we're going for. We were such big fans of his artwork because, you know, the majority of the records we grew up listening to had his artwork. So we were so used to seeing his artwork and always being so amazed by it that we were like, damn, we got to get Seagrave too. I mean, we've been wanting to use Seagrave since our first record, but, you know, not having the budget, being on a smaller label, being a smaller band, it just didn't work. But, you know, when we finally started working with Century Media, we had more of a budget, and, you know, we got the chance to be able to work with him. And yeah, he did such a killer job on the last record or the third record that we wanted to use him again for the new one. But as far as like the concept, like, there's not really, our records don't really have like, they're not really like concept albums, I guess. They're just kind of like a bunch of different songs put together, different ideas. So we kind of just, as far as how the artworks came together, we kind of just sent him a bunch of ideas, lyrics, different artwork about with like kind of like certain parts of different artworks that we were like, we want something like this, you know, for our cover. And he kind of just did his thing, and that's how it came out.
Cool. How did you guys hook up with Century Media? I know you're on Dark Descent before Century Media for the record before. How did you wind up working with Century Media?
We were actually on Century Media. So it was kind of weird. When we were on Dark Descent, we were also on Century Media, but only for Europe.
Okay.
Yes, Century Media was only releasing our records in Europe, and Dark Descent doing them in the U.S. in North America.
Okay.
So we've been in contact with Century Media since our first European tour. Played this festival in Germany called Partystan Open Air, and a lot of the Century Media staff were there. And I guess after our show, they were like very, very, very into the show, and they really liked it. And we kind of just sat down for a bit and talked and hung out. And they just wanted to see what would be the possibility about working together. And since we were already on a different label at that time, and we had a contract for 2 records, we couldn't really do much about it. So we kind of just told them, like, once this contract is over, we have 1 more record. We'll see if we could work something out. So we've always been in contact with them. And then so once that contract finished, they reached back out and see if we were still interested, and that's kind of how it all worked out. And we've even not related to the label. I've always had contact with them. Just they'd still come out to shows when we go to Europe and stuff and hang out and stuff.
Cool. You mentioned being the old school worship, and not so much on like the last 2, but I definitely, with your vocals and some of the earlier stuff, I was like, oh shit, that guy, he does sort of sound like Johntard a little bit. You've probably heard that a couple of times. And then you got to do a tour with Obituary. So I kind of was interested about, how that came about, and that must have been like a huge guys.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think till this day that's been the best tour we've done. Johntard, probably one of the biggest. I mean, there's many. Johntard, Martin Benjamin, and Chuck Schuldiner. I mean, Mark Groove. There's a lot of them that are very big influences to me. But yeah, definitely, there's definitely a lot of Johntard, especially. I mean, when I first started, I wouldn't even call it singing, because I don't even know what I was doing. I was just trying to mimic what I liked back then. That's pretty much what it was. And with time, I started kind of, finding my own voice and learning how to actually do it. But yeah, definitely a lot of Johntard, worship in the early days, and still, I still worship Obituary and Johntard in general. But yeah, anyways, talking about the tour question, how that happened was pretty much that tour was actually, I think, it was Hatebreed's 25th anniversary tour, and Jamie Josta, I guess, was a really big fan of our band, or of I think Divine Mortality. I mean, I think of our band in general. So how it happened is he was just interested in having us on tour, and we kind of just got asked that way. They just emailed us and said, hey, we have a tour coming up for our 25th anniversary, and we want to know if you guys are available. And we're like, fuck, hell yeah, we are. Like, fucking Obituary, so many legendary bands on that tour, man. It was actually crazy. But yeah,
they jam packed it, actually, because didn't they have 2 different legs though? West Coast bands and then East Coast bands. Yeah. I saw the East Coast show, actually. I saw that one, and it was a good mix. It was weird. It was hardcore and death metal, and it was like Cro-Mags, or like the John Joseph version of Cro-Mags, and Terror played, and Obituary, and Hatebreed. Yeah, that was a good show. It was a good show.
Yes, it's exactly. I think that, I mean, they did it. I think what they did was really cool, because like I said, like you said, there's just such a big variety of different styles on that tour. Like, even the leg that we did, it was Madball, us, Prong, Obituary, and Hatebreed. So a bunch of different
super
styles.
Diverse. Yeah, super diverse.
So you see all kinds of different people coming to the shows, and the best thing about that was, I mean, it's crazy because we were opening, so as soon as we went on, like, most of these shows were already fucking extremely packed. So we were really happy about that, because we weren't sure how it was going to be for us, because we're still a small band next to all these legendary bands. So we weren't sure if people weren't going to start showing up till after we played, but people were just they really, like, it seems like we would really win over the crowd, especially it being such a big variety of like hardcore fans, or just different styles of music or whatever, and everybody seemed to really like the band. So that was a very successful and very, very, very cool tour, man. Being able to meet all those like legendary people and hang out with them. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the hard, when you say the hardcore though, I mean, I think if you were into Hatebreed and then told me you didn't like metal, I'd be like, what are you, very confused, you know, because like that's pretty much like the most metal of like the hardcore quote bands, you know. So,
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think they're more. I mean, I think there's definitely more metal than hardcore, a good mixture of both. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely different styles of music in that on that tour. It was fucking awesome.
any more like just weird, funny tour stories that you can think of?
From that tour, or just any tours in general?
Yeah,
Do you
any
mean?
tour. You know what? Any tour. If you got a good story, bring it out.
Shit. Do you have any, Mike?
I don't know if I want to say some of these, but
Anything that
the names
not
out,
anything
protect
that's
the
not.
innocent, you know.
I mean, we could talk about what about that?
I guess one of the funniest ones was, well, at least for me, it was at the time it wasn't so funny, but we were on a certain European tour, and it was a day off, so we're all hitting the bars, having some fun, and some of our members started butting heads throughout the day, and the more liquored up we got, the more the fights got a little more intense. So it got to the end of the night where certain people were wasted, and it was just like, all right, this has got to end right here. And this certain member just got a little too emotional, a little too drunk, and he just kind of started, acting the fool, causing the scene. So anyways, so he was done. He was outside the bar, and I went inside to try to grab the guys. And I was trying to tell everybody, all right, we're done. That's it. Let's bounce out of here. Because by that time, I already kind of became the babysitter, and I wasn't enjoying the night, so I was having a real bad time. And once I finally eventually got the guys back up, we're, so same thing. We're heading back to the bus and bickering back and forth is constantly going on. So whatever. And it was, it's late at night, so there's no cars out or anything. But still, when we're crossing the street, we're jaywalking, and we're still pretty shit-faced. So like we're thinking, oh shit, we gotta run, even though there's no cars coming. So it came to the point where I started booking it across the street, and I hear that the guys are going the opposite direction, and I'm the most sober one out of the group, so I knew which way I was going. And I hear these guys running the other direction. And as I look back, I trip on this random ass fucking curb that was in the middle of the street, like just random. And I tripped. I didn't even have the time to brace for impact. By the time I hit, I turned around and boom, hit the floor right there. I had some on my previous Instagram. I had busted up my hand. I could barely even play for like the next week. But that night, it just kind of that night ruined it for me for a bit, because I landed, I fell, I laughed it off for a bit, but these guys, they kept going the opposite direction, and I'm still trying to wrangle everybody up together, and it was just chaos. And it got to the point I was like, fuck it, I'm going back to the bus by myself. Like, you guys do whatever the fuck you want. I went back to the bus. The next morning, our tour manager was like, where are these guys at? I don't fucking know. And I just turned around, went right back to sleep. And that was that story. I mean, it's not so much funny, but it was, it was an experience.
They eventually found their way back to the bus. Where did they wind up? Does anyone know?
So the thing was that we had a hotel room, but it was so late at night. I think it was like, well, it wasn't that it was late at night. I think it was the bus call was really early. I think it was like 5 a.m. And I think we were probably done partying like at 2 or 3. By the time we got to the hotel room, it was like 3:30, 4. So it really made no sense for us to go to the hotel. We should have just went to our bus, knocked out in our bunks, and that should have been it. But I think we were just so drunk that we're like, oh no, let's go to our hotel. So we got to our hotel, knocked out for like 3-4 hours. So we were like completely fucking late. until I think I don't know what happened, but I think somebody came and knocked on our door. So maybe the tour manager or something, or I'm not sure who it was, but somebody came and knocked on our door, and they're like, "We got to go." And we're like, "Oh shit!" We were all fucking, still drunk, so we got up and walked to the bus. But it seemed like I don't know. It seemed like everybody was still hanging out, like fucking having breakfast and shit. Like we were. It didn't seem like they were like in a rush. So we were fine. I think they were just kind of pushing it to like make sure that everybody was there so we can leave whenever everybody's. I don't know, but yeah, that was there's another fucking legendary. I mean, for us at least, fucking legendary story that happened with one of our last drummers. We played this festival in France called Hellfest.
Oh yeah, it's a big one.
Huge festival.
Yeah.
Very, very fucking big. And anyway, so we arrive. We're all fucking excited, we're gonna play this huge festival, and I think we go check in, then we go to our room, our dressing room or whatever, and we're hanging out there. And I played this festival before with one of my other old bands or whatever, so I kind of knew. I didn't know, but I figured last time I played, usually there's like Jack Daniel girls that like walk around the back dressing room, and they're just giving out free bottles to the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, dude, I wonder if they're gonna be in, like, if they're gonna be here this year or whatever. And then 20 minutes after, we're just hanging out, they come in like, hey, we're this and that. You guys want a bottle? We're like, oh fuck, hell yeah. So that's kind of where it all went downhill. We started drinking this bottle, and we went on stage, had fun, whatever. We went, put all our stuff away, and then we went to go see Vader, who played right after our set, or maybe no, they weren't right after. They played the same stage, but I think there was one band after us and then Vader. So we went back to go catch Vader, and this was early in the day. I mean, I think it must have been maybe like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. latest. And the last time we saw our drummer was in that damn pit, and we didn't see him again till like 5 a.m. We couldn't find him anywhere, dude. We went everywhere. And the thing that sucked was our hotel room was like an hour and a half away. So our driver was super pissed because he was like, dude, like, I want to go get some rest. We're like, we can't find a drummer. He doesn't, and he was always the one to lose his phone. So he wouldn't answer anything. So we went looking all over this fucking festival. I'm talking about miles and miles walking to fucking find this guy. Anyways, we finally found him like at 3, 4 in the morning, passed out in the front towards the entrance. And so by this time our driver had already taken off. We told him, dude, just take off, go get some rest, and we'll figure out a way to the hotel or whatever. So we finally found him. We're like, dude, we got to get out of here. It's fucking late. So we walked around so we could find a taxi. This is in the middle of nowhere, by the way. So finally we found a taxi, and they're like, I forgot. Oh yeah. So, we didn't have euros on us, I don't think. So they wanted us to pay with cash, and we're like, dude, we don't have euros. So he had to take us far as hell to a damn ATM, get the money out, and finally took us to our hotel room, which is like an hour and a half away. So when we get off the taxi to go into our hotel room, we're walking in, and it's like there's like this big gate that you have to walk into, and we all thought we were all walking in, but like once we take a few steps after passing the gate to get into our hotel room, our drummer was he was all drunk, so he was just talking shit and like being like fucking stupid. And I noticed we kind of realized that we didn't hear him anymore, so we look back and we see our drummer walk into a random vehicle and just take off. We're like, what the fuck just happened, dude?
Like they get kidnapped?
At first that's what we thought. Like, dude, did they just kidnap this dude? Because he literally just walked into a random vehicle and just fucking took off, dude. And he didn't have a phone. We're like, okay, there's nothing we can do about this. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? So we go to our room. We're like trying to figure out what to do. We end up knocking out because we're so fucking tired. And then like I wake up to just hearing fucking a phone ring like crazy and like over and over. So I wake up, and it's my guitar player or my bass player's phone. And I'm like, dude, your fucking phone's ringing. And it turns out that my drummer got in a taxi with the Vader guys who were going to the airport to fly home. So the Vader guys called us, and they were like, yo, your drummer is here all drunk. Like, we're trying to get him back to you guys. We're like, what the fuck? Like, where are you guys? Like, oh, we're at the airport. He got in a taxi with us and he didn't want to get off. He said, yeah, I guess he thought that we were in that fucking car or something. I don't fucking know. But anyways, that's one of the craziest stories I can think of at the moment. But yeah, that was definitely one for the books, man. That was fucking.
Is that one of the reasons why he's an ex-drummer?
That's exactly
that's
why.
like, you were such a pain in the ass on that Hellfest.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's been many more times than that, but that was definitely the most legendary one, the most epic one, or whatever. But there's been a lot of more crazy stories of him getting a little bit too out of hand. But I mean, I love that guy. He's still one of my good friends, and I see him all the time. But yeah, man, that was fucking. Besides that, the fucking festival was hella fun. We had fucking a great time.
You were talking about your other band, but that was Fueled by Fire.
Yeah.
And so, talk about, I guess, it seemed like that band ended, and then Skeletal Remains began, like, sort of right around this. So I'm assuming that's not a coincidence.
Yes and no, because when Skeletal Remains was started, when me and Mike were starting to jam together, I kind of had told him since the beginning, like, I'm down to jam, but I have Fueled by Fire, and I'm fucking busy with them all the time. So if you want to try and jam, can't be something serious, just something went home and stuff. So he was totally okay with that, and that's kind of how Skeletal Remains started. Because like when we started Skeletal Remains, it was never supposed to be anything serious. It was more of us just getting together and jamming some of our favorite songs, and it never really turned into writing our own. Like, we didn't start writing our own material until we pretty much got tired of fucking covering all these songs. We're like, shit, we should just write our own song. And then it started getting a little bit more serious, and then we wrote that first demo, and then we went into recording. But yeah, as far as like I didn't leave Fueled by Fire and then start Skeletal Remains. I was still in Fueled by Fire, but things just weren't working out for me in that band anymore. I was still after Skeletal Remains started, I was still in Fueled by Fire for some time, for a few years, I think. And then once as Skeletal Remains started getting more serious, it came to the point where I had to choose bands, and I was like, that, and I had just had my first kid, and I kind of was trying to like not tour as much. I kind of was trying to take it a little bit more easy. So that's kind of the reason why I parted ways with FBF, and then I started focusing more on Skeletal Remains because I had more time, and Skeletal Remains was something I started from the ground up, so it's more of like my baby, I guess you can say. So that's why I decided, I wanted to stick, and it's more of what I've always wanted to do. I've always been more of a death metal guy. What I was doing with them was a little bit more death thrash. I love thrash, but yeah, I think I felt like what I wanted to do, I could do it with Skeletal. So yeah, and then I just started focusing on SR, and then the rest is history.
Cool. So when did you like figure out, like, okay, Skeletal Remains, you said that you didn't take it that serious. When did you figure out, like, oh shit, this is getting to be serious? And like what did it become serious big and then you took it serious, or you took it serious and then it became big?
I think I took it serious first, or I don't know. I guess it was a little bit of both. I mean, I didn't know it was going to be as serious. Go ahead.
I think that was just some interference.
I didn't think it was going to be as serious as it was, or as serious as it is now, until we got hit up from that first label, and got asked if we were interested in releasing or having them release our music. And then shortly after they released, our demo is sold out. Like, I don't know how fast, but it sold out really quick. And they're like, hey, the demo did really quick. You're interested in doing a record together? And we're like, sure. And then when we released the first record, that's when we got offered to do our first European tour. And I think when I really was like, okay, this is something that, I want to do, for good. And I think, and when I realized that I knew it was going to be something serious, was I think after playing, during and after playing that first festival in Germany, Partisan open air, the one I was talking about, where we met the Century Media guys. I think after playing that, I was just like, okay, this is something that, that I'd like to do for good, or that I'd like to be really serious about. And it was just because going up there we were the first band, and we went up there like at noon, and the fucking whole the show was completely fucking packed. And we were just like the small band, like we didn't really think it was our first European, so we didn't really think anybody was going to be there for us. And yeah, it was just a really cool experience, and that's kind of what I guess pushed all of us to start taking this a little bit more serious.
Mm-hmm. Now, the songwriting process for the band, do you write together like as a band in rehearsal, or is there like a primary songwriter, or how do you go about writing?
It's changed. It's changed with time and with different lineups. Like when me and Mike started, it was just me and him sitting in my room, exchanging riffs, and then we got our drummer. And then, we would all get together and jam as a band and come up with riffs and come up with songs like that. And that's kind of how the process continued up until our second record. Then our second record, I started doing like a majority of the writing. I would have help here and there from some of the guys with lyrics and stuff. And then when Mike came in the band, for the fourth record, I wrote 3 songs. Was it 3 or 4 songs before Mike came in that I had already written? And pretty much the rest of the record, me and Mike just sat in the studio and wrote everything with my recording software, and kind of just programmed the drums in our studio. And that's kind of how it all came together. Just me and him writing riffs, programming the drums to them, and pretty much putting everything together. And then once everything was written, we sent it to Charlie, who recorded drums on the record, and he learned everything and flew down like a week and a half or 2 weeks before going into the studio, and we just rehearsed everything. And then we just went into record, and that's kind of how it all came together. But yeah, like I said, it kind of has changed. Right now with this new lineup, me and Mike are literally down the street from each other. Noah's about an hour away from us, and then Pierce is in Portland or in Oregon, which is I think like a 2-hour flight. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing right now is kind of the same thing we did for the last record. Me and Mike write stuff together with the drumish, like programming drums to the riffs, and then we send it to Pierce, and then Pierce sends back his ideas as far as like new riffs or just adding his own twist to the drums or whatever. Because what me and Mike, or what I'm doing on the drums when I program them, are just very basic, and he adds his own twist and makes it more of how it should sound, like an actual drummer playing it. But yeah, that's kind of how it's been. I mean, we've been writing stuff together for the this whole time that we haven't been doing shows or whatever, and it's going well, man. It's pretty stoked on the new stuff.
So cool. Is that all scratch tracks, and does none of that get used when you do the final recordings?
It does. The only thing that gets used is, or the advantage of doing this is that you kind of somewhat do like a pre-production. So with us writing everything, like on our computer or whatever, we already kind of have like everything kind of in pre-production. So when we go in the studio, we literally just give the engineer our click tracks from when we wrote the song, and like he like I for the last record, I wasn't there. We just gave the engineer the click tracks, our scratch guitars that we used to write the songs, and that's what Charlie used to record the drums. So he was just in the studio by himself. And it's not because I wanted it that way, but it's because it happened during this whole COVID thing. Like literally the week before we were supposed to go into the studio, this whole COVID and lockdown thing happened, and the studio was like, hey man, like I think we're gonna cancel you guys' sessions because we're not sure what to do right now with the whole lockdown. Mm-hmm. But Charlie was already down here, from Oregon, so we just kind of told him like, well, Charlie's down here already. Is there any way we can just come in and just do the drums? So like, fine, you could do that, but he can only come. So it kind of all worked out. So he went in by himself. I sent him all the click tracks and the scratch guitars, and he recorded to that. And then pretty much the rest of the record we did at home. I did at home or at our studio, where I would just take my laptop, record all my guitars DI, and then I sent them back to the studio where Charlie recorded drums, and he reamped everything. And it was kind of a different process than what we usually do or that we have, like what we have done for the last records. But it worked out for the best. Like it worked out really well because we had more time to actually like focus on things. We weren't on the clock or being pressured to, hurry up and finish a certain part.
Yeah.
So we were able to actually sit down, take some breaks if we need to, come back to things if we need to. And yeah, it's kind of how it worked out.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, the sound of the new record is awesome. So I think that really worked out. It's just kind of funny that the only thing that really survives from the pre-production is the timing, and everything is
right.
Built around that.
Well, you save time though, because you just have everything what you do, and then you just go in and bust it out. It's just like a to save time, right? Yeah, you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're
doing. Yeah.
So obviously that came out in September. Have you guys been writing more stuff since then, or even before it came out?
Yeah, we've started working on some things here and there. Demoing some stuff. We've got tons of riffs for fucking days, but it's all about trying to get them together. And right now we're still picking parts of each riff, and we're taking our time though, because right now there's no real rush to do anything, obviously, but we got some stuff going on right now.
Cool.
You guys just switched sides. I'm like, wait.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. Because I think Chris's video went out for a second.
Yeah. So, I could hear you guys. So, but yeah, like you said, like you mentioned, we were we've been writing a few things here and there. Like I said, we've been just mostly doing it like we don't really see each other that much because of the whole COVID thing. I mean, me and Mike do, but Pierce is, like I said, all the way in Oregon, so he's not. He's actually coming down here in 2 weeks or something. So we're gonna actually sit down and start writing some stuff, as a band, because that's kind of what I prefer. But if it's not possible, then we do it the other way, where we're just kind of exchanging ideas and then structuring songs with those ideas. That's kind of how we did the majority of the last record. Both ways worked. I mean, both ways work. It just depends, what obviously what's available and what's possible. But yeah, we've been writing a couple of things, and it's turning out pretty killer.
You get any input from Century Media, like whether they're like, we'd like to get another record before you go out on tour? Because I don't think the tours are going to happen anytime soon. Like, it's going to be at least, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're not really pushy about things like that. They kind of, they let us do what we need to do as far as like, they don't want to rush us, obviously, but yeah, they do. I mean, they definitely want updates like, hey, how what's going on? Is there, you guys writing new music, stuff like that. So we definitely update them from time to time, but they're not really like on our ass or anything. Like, yo, there's a record needs to come out like ASAP or something like that. So, we're taking our time with it. That's kind of how it's been with every record. We just take our time, and I mean, like I said, we've been doing some writing, but it's kind of hard, man. It's COVID. This COVID shit, it's not really inspiring. I mean, we can't.
Of course.
Like, sometimes we just sit there and we just, we're just like, we're like not really feeling it, so we just don't write shit. But we have our good days and our bad days, and then we write some fucking killer shit. So it just depends. But yeah, like I said, I mean, we just did a record. We're so used to just after a record's out, we just go out and fucking hit the road for a year or something, just nonstop, hit it as hard as we can. So coming out of fucking recording a record to starting to write another one is very different than what we're used to. So I think that also has a lot to do with it. And like I said, yeah, COVID doesn't help the situation. It's not inspiring at all. We're just fucking home working, which isn't a bad thing. I love being home, spending time with my family and my kids and stuff. But yeah, there's just something about it when you go out, hit the road, spend time with all these fans, and see all these fans' reactions, react to your music, and you come home with more inspiration to write a new record.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I guess let's just. I'm thinking maybe we'll close it out by just asking about the LA scene and stuff. I mean, me and Eric are on the East Coast, so I can probably count the number of West Coast shows I've seen on one hand. So tell us a little bit about how the scene out there, and like what your buddy bands are and who you like to play with.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, like, it's been so long since we played a show, I can't even remember. But no, I mean, shit. I think the last LA show we did, or the last show in LA. What was the last show we did? I think that was that festival, right? That we played with Black Flag. Is that the last show we did?
Yeah, that was the last.
Yeah. So, I mean, but in general, like, it's LA, man. It's always happening here. There when shows were actually. Hello. Oh, there you go. We got cut off. When shows were actually happening, like, dude, there would be 3-4 shows a weekend, and they would all be packed. On the same. So there's fucking, the scene is, is alive here. There's definitely, you'd have a heavy metal show, a death metal show, a black metal show, all on the same day, and they would all be fucking, packed with people. So there's definitely, I mean, I think it's always been like that for LA. The shows have always been really great here. For us, I mean, in the beginning, it wasn't like that. We would play shows to fucking 10 people, 15 people, but that's how every band, I think, starts. Obviously now when we play shows, it's fucking, especially in our hometown, it's most of the time sold out or packed. So that's fucking awesome. Which with each record, it seems like our crowd is getting bigger, in general. But yeah, man, it's definitely vibing here. There's a lot of crazy fans out here, and a lot of people are very hungry for music. So, and I'm sure once this fucking COVID thing goes away, people are going to be even crazier. So I cannot wait till we are able to play an actual official album release show, because we weren't able to do that. We usually do one after each record drops. But, we weren't able to do that with this record. So we're still planning on making up for a lot of stuff. And, obviously we had so much shit booked that got canceled. Well, not canceled, keeps getting postponed. So there's a lot of stuff that we want to get out there and, and do and make up for, or whatever. But yeah, man, the fucking scene is fucking crazy here. That's all I can say, I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have a lot of, just like any scene, you have a lot of lame people and, stupid people. I think it's everywhere. But, the true diehards, the people that are there, they know. And, it's fucking, it's LA is definitely, I think any band will tell you when they go, when they tour the West Coast or the US, LA is always the fucking spot that cracks.
Cool. I mean, anything else you want to plug? I think we're sort of getting that time. So, anything you need to get in there?
You're talking to me.
I mean, besides just go check out the new. I noticed the new CD's not on Bandcamp though. So, is the best place to go pick that up on like Amazon or something?
Yeah, I don't think Century Media does Bandcamp. I know Dark Descent does. That's why our last record was on there. But I mean, it should be on every other streaming platform like Spotify or I don't know what else is out there these days. The Apple Music or all that stuff. Amazon, I guess, I'm sure has one. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could go to any of your local record stores and they should have a record at least. Yeah, they should have it. So yeah, check it. Go pick one up if you haven't. If not, just fucking YouTube it, or if not, just go fucking steal it. I don't care. Just go listen to it. and yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, there's not really much we can promote now because being the fucking weird time we're in, we ain't doing shit, we're literally just fucking waiting around for shit to go back to normal. So so yeah, that's pretty much it. Another thing, I guess we do have some really cool stuff getting announced next week for our first 2 records and our demo being repressed via Century Media. I don't know when this interview will go live, but if it's not live by then, yeah, go pick up those first 2 records and the demo, which will be available for pre-order, I think, next Friday, which is the 26th maybe of March. But yeah, and then we're gonna be releasing a bunch of fucking cool merch with all that stuff. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Some cool anniversary stuff definitely coming.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention. This year in May marks our 10-year anniversary, so we're gonna do some cool 10-year anniversary merch and stuff like that. And the demo, we're doing like a 10-year anniversary edition, which is gonna contain a bunch of really cool bonus stuff and never released stuff like from different album sessions, like songs that never made it to the record. We're gonna put them on that demo, and yeah, it's gonna be cool. So hopefully everyone enjoys that. And thanks to anybody that watched the interviewer, and thank you guys for having us, man.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I like your stuff a lot, and I can't wait till the tours get going, and we can catch up on the East Coast somewhere. It'd be super awesome.
Party, man.
Sounds good, man. I can't wait either, man. Hopefully we can hang out and have a beer or something sooner than later. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.